This is all about compound sentences, so we're going to focus in on compound sentences in the video. You need some working knowledge of what a simple sentence is, so if you need to, go back to the previous video. Let me just start with some terms that we'll need. You need to know what a subject is. A subject is what the sentence is about, who or what is doing something. The verb is the action, the what is that subject doing. And clause is really important to know. What a clause is a group of words that have a subject and a verb. So it can be a complete sentence, but it can be what's called a dependent clause, meaning it's not fully a complete idea. So that's where I get to the terms independent clause, which is a clause that can stand on its own. It's a full sentence, you get enough information, you understand what is being said. A dependent clause, now it has a subject and a verb, so technically it could be considered a complete sentence, but it leaves the reader sort of asking questions. So let's keep that in mind when we talk about compound and complex sentences. The whole idea behind this is to add variety to your sentences, make it more interesting, have a variety of sentences, have some simple sentences, have some compound sentences, have some complex sentences as well. It just makes the writing more interesting. This is what authors do as well, so it makes you read better. What a compound sentence is. A compound sentence contains two independent clauses that are joined together. So she works in the city is an independent clause. She lives in the suburbs is an independent clause. They can stand by themselves. She works in the city, she lives in the suburbs. Two complete thoughts, complete sentences. But they're conjoined with the word but. Okay? That's what makes it a compound sentence. Now let's look at some more information about compound sentences. It's usually joined by coordinating conjunction, like the word but or so. So Henry got a new job, independent clause. He has to move, independent clause. The so is that conjunction to let us know that it is a compound sentence. Here's another example. I have a lot of homework, but I am not going to have time to study. The but is your coordinating conjunction, and then you have two independent clauses. So let's look at the difference here. We have the simple sentence. My house guests returned from a long day of shopping and went straight to bed. Your compound sentence on the same topic is, my house guests returned home from a long day of shopping and we decided to stay at home instead of going out. The first sentence is long, but it's only simple because there's one subject and then there's just two verbs. But there's no independent clause that can stand on its own. Unlike the compound sentence where you can have, if you took out that and made them two sentences, it would actually still make sense. So they're two independent clauses. Okay. And the idea is to use a coordinating conjunction. He couldn't watch the show, so he decided to tape it. He couldn't watch the show as independent. He decided to tape it independent, so is your coordinating conjunction. Here are some examples of some coordinating conjunctions. We have, if you want to have addition, you use and, so if you're adding things to your sentence. If you want to show differences between the two independent clauses, you use but or yet. If you want to show a choice between the independent clauses, it's or nor. Some sort of cause would be for, and some sort of result would be so between your independent clauses. An easier way to remember that is the acronym FAMBOYS. All right, F stands for, A stands for and, N stands for nor, B stands for but, O stands for or, Y stands for yet, and S stands for so. These are an easy way to remember coordinating conjunctions. So a lot of times when you see these words with two independent clauses, that's how you know it's a compound sentence. Okay, so let me just give you some examples here. Most compound sentences are formed in this way. The last three are more formal. So the experiment was deemed successful, yet our results were unsatisfactory. That's a little more formal. The yet, the so, the for. Okay, here's another example. The students were unhappy with their professor, for he often wasted their time in class. See the little bit of a formal kind of sentence there, using that coordinating conjunction. So it's a little bit more. It's a little bit of a better writing technique. Okay, you can have compound sentences without coordinating conjunctions. Okay, that's where you just add a semicolon. So the ambitious student initiated the research. The teacher was pleased by her efforts. Now, there's no coordinating conjunction. That's still a compound sentence because there's two independent clauses, but instead they use a semicolon. Okay, here's another example. The students were unhappy with their professor. He often wasted their time in class. Now you could have that as two simple sentences, or you can put a semicolon there and make it two compound sentences. Okay, let me diagram this out for you. I love living in the city is an independent clause. There are so many things to do is an independent clause, and they're just connected by a semicolon. And that is correct grammar, and that is a compound sentence. Okay? Now, we can also use transition words in the semicolon. That might be the best use of the semicolon, is the transition words. If it lands in the middle of a compound sentence after the semicolon, then you need a comma. So for example, the experiment was deemed unsuccessful. Unfortunately, our results were unsatisfactory. If you look at the sentence, you have your semicolon, and then you have, unfortunately, your transition word, and then you have a comma after that. Okay? The students were unhappy with the professor. Undeniably, he often wasted their time in class. Again, semicolon, transition word, comma. Okay? Here's a word of caution I'm going to end with. Do not use a comma every time you use the words and, or, but, for, so, or yet. It's only when it's two independent clauses. So the necklace was beautiful is an independent clause. Expensive is not an independent clause. So you do not need a comma. That is just that is a simple sentence. Okay, so make sure we understand that. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to email and ask as you are working on this.